What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have an absolutely epic endgame Verso build in Expedition 33. In this video, I'll talk about the skills required for this build. I'll talk about why each of these skills are absolutely amazing as we watch some gameplay. Then I'll get into what weapon I'm utilizing for this build, and I'll give you some options as well, just in case you haven't unlocked the weapon I'm utilizing for this Verso build. And at the end of the video, I'll go over the Pictos and Luminas that I have equipped on Verso as well, because Pictos and Luminas absolutely enhance this build and make it absolutely epic. Pictos and Luminas should not be overlooked, not just for Verso, but for any character, as they can really pack a punch and really help your character get to the next level. Some of the Pictos and Luminas I'm going to recommend are great for any character, and some are going to be specific to the Verso build himself. Before I get into it, I do want to say, if you do enjoy this video, definitely give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Expedition 33 content. I do a bunch of other video games. A lot of great RPGs are coming up in 2026, so definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of those videos. Without further ado, let's talk about the skills that make this Verso build absolutely epic for endgame. First, I'm going to start by talking about my most utilized skill with Verso, Phantom Stars. This deals extreme light damage to all enemies. It's 5 hits, can also break, and on S rank only costs 5 AP, so an absolutely phenomenal move. Next, Perfect Break, another move that I utilize a lot. It deals very high single target light damage, 1 hit, can break, rank S on break, and it also costs only 5 AP when it's on the B rank. Next, Strike Storm. I don't utilize this as much. It is a very nice move to have, but I don't utilize this as much. It deals very high single target damage for 5 hits, utilizes the weapon's elements, critical hits generate perfection, and on C rank, it's increased damage. Now let's talk about my favorite move for Verso is Endbringer. It deals extreme single target physical damage. It's 6 hits. If your target is stunned, it deals increased damage and can also reapply stun on A rank. Berserk Slash is a really fun move if Verso is running low on health. Can deal a lot of damage if Verso is running low on health. It deals medium single target physical damage for 3 hits. It's also increased for the lower health Verso has, and on C rank, it's increased damage. Steel Strike, depending upon how you set Verso up, and I'm going to talk about why this can be absolutely amazing as we watch the video of some gameplay, but Steel Strike, after 1 turn, so you do have to wait a turn, deals extreme single target physical damage, 13 hits, but it is interrupted if any damage is taken. If you're on S rank, it's increased damage. But I'm going to talk about when and why you can use this move to absolute effect. This is my least utilized skill for Verso, but it's still an amazing move. The first one I typically utilize is Phantom Stars. This is the one I utilize a lot, followed by Perfect Break, and then a combination of Strike Storm and Endbringer. And when it comes down to it, if I'm low on health, I utilize Berserk Slash. When the time is right, which I'll talk about, I utilize Steel Strike. But let's get into some more gameplay and talk about why these skills are absolutely amazing and when to use them. Now that we're getting into some more gameplay, let's talk more in depth about the skills. But I first want to spoil what weapon I'm going to be showing you at the end of the video that I utilize, because it's extremely great for this build. You can utilize different weapons, but the one I'm utilizing, because you're going to see it in these videos, is the Chevalam. Now, the Chevalam is phenomenal because at the start of the battle, Verso starts in rank S, which is absolutely phenomenal. Starting in rank S is the reason why I utilize Phantom Stars a lot. We already went over that Phantom Stars only cost 5 AP when in rank S. So we're starting the battle in rank S, dealing a bunch of extra damage. Then we're utilizing Phantom Stars, which deals extreme light damage to either all of the enemies. Perhaps we're facing a horde. We can take out that horde insanely quickly, or deal at least a lot of damage to the horde to start the battle. Or if we're facing a singular opponent, whether it's just a singular opponent, or we're facing a boss, we can still deal extreme light damage to that boss for 5 hits, and it's only costing Verso 5 AP, which is absolutely awesome because we're starting in rank S. So Chevalam is absolutely phenomenal, especially for Verso, starting in rank S, being able to deal a lot of damage, especially with Phantom Stars to start the battle. Another skill that I utilize a lot is Perfect Break. Now, I utilize it a lot less with Chevalam because I'm starting in rank S. However, if I do get hit and I start losing rank, my rank goes down a little bit and I'm in rank B, it's only going to cost 5 AP. What's also great about Perfect Break is it does deal very high single target light damage and can also break. And if you do break with Perfect Break, you get back up to rank S, which is really nice if you do get hit. If you're okay at dodging and parrying, maybe not great, you know you're going to get hit a couple of times and lose that rank S after you get the first hit or two off, then Perfect Break, if you're close to breaking an enemy, can get you right back up to rank S. So I absolutely love Perfect Break. It's a really phenomenal move. Next, let's talk about my favorite move, Endbringer. I love Endbringer. It does cost a lot of AP. It's 9 AP. Unlike the other two moves, Perfect Break, which at rank B only costs 5 AP, Phantom Stars at rank S only costs 5 AP, Endbringer is always going to cost you 9 AP. So it's all your AP to utilize Endbringer. However, it's absolutely phenomenal, especially if your opponent is stunned. So it deals extreme single target physical damage, 6 hits. It's increased damage if the target is stunned. And if you're at A rank, it can reapply stun. This is really awesome because you're pretty much throwing salt in the wound at this point. You broke your target. You're now dealing more damage with Endbringer because your target's broken and stunned. So you're finishing them off after you already broke them. It can deal an insane amount of damage if your target is stunned. And if you're at A rank, that's of course if you've been hit, because we are starting in S rank. So if the battle has been going on for a decent amount, you weren't able to finish off your enemy, it's a tough opponent. If you've broken them and stunned them, they've hit you once or twice, and you're in A rank, now you can reapply stun and make sure your team is attacking this target for longer. I absolutely love Endbringer, an absolutely phenomenal move. Next, I want to talk about Steeled Strike. Steeled Strike is also a really great move, but you have to set it up right. Now, Steeled Strike, I mentioned, you have to wait 1 turn before you can deal that extreme single target physical damage. It is 13 hits, and if you're at rank S, you get increased damage. Now, sometimes, especially if you're like me, you're okay at dodging and parrying, but not great, you may get hit before your next turn, and Steeled Strike is not going to be able to work. If you're like me, you need a way to guarantee that this is going to work. And one way that's going to guarantee this is going to work is a Picto. It's a Picto called Cheater. Now, this Picto, and I'm going to recommend this at the end of the video when I'm going over the Pictos in Luminas, this Picto can also be turned into a Lumina. It is a high cost, though. It's 40 Lumina for this Cheater Picto, or Lumina. It allows whatever character has it equipped to go twice in a row. So if you have 9 AP and it's the start of your first turn, whatever turn that is, remember, I just mentioned you get to go twice in a row. So if it's the start of this twice in a row, back-to-back Cheater turn, then you can utilize your 9 AP for Steeled Strike. That's your turn 1 of Cheater. And then on your second turn, you get to hit with Steeled Strike. So utilizing Cheater coupled with Steeled Strike allows you to utilize Steeled Strike without having to worry about being hit by your opponent. That's absolutely awesome. Steel Strike really works well with the cheater Picto, especially if you're just okay at dodging and parrying. If you're worried about being hit, you can still utilize Steel Strike as long as you have cheater. Of course, you're going to have 9 AP built up on that first turn of cheater, but if you do, this is an absolutely crazy move. It deals a ton of damage and can really decimate opponents. I love Steel Strike. It is a really great move, but sometimes it's tough to get off. But that's why equipping the cheater Picto, which is one that you really need for this build, is going to make this move phenomenal. Berserk Slash is a pretty straightforward move. It is here as almost a failsafe. It is extremely low AP cost, only 4 AP. At rank C, you're dealing increased damage, and most likely, you're going to be a pretty low rank if you're taking damage, unless you utilize another skill that lowers your health, which I'm not using as a part of this build, but Berserk Slash is there as a failsafe. When Verso has extremely low health, Verso can deal a ton of damage with Berserk Slash. So for only 4 AP, that's insane. And of course, if you're taking damage, you're going to be a lower rank. We're starting at rank S, thanks to Chevalam. So if we're taking some damage, if we're getting hit, we're going to be a lower rank. We're going to go down to rank A, rank B, and then rank C. And that's where we took damage. We're at rank C. Now we can use Berserk Slash for extremely high damage, because the lower Verso's health is, the more damage Berserk Slash is going to do. So it's kind of a failsafe. For only 4 AP, it's an absolutely phenomenal move. Last but not least is Strike Storm. I like Strike Storm. It's a good move, especially if you're at a lower rank. Again, I'm not going to utilize this as much thanks to Chevalam. Chevalam has really put a lot of focus on Phantom Stars. I utilize Phantom Stars to start the battle, and then because of cheater, I can utilize Phantom Stars twice in a row, dealing extremely high light damage to all of the enemies I'm facing, which really does decimate teams. However, if you don't have Chevalam, Strike Storm is a very good move. It deals very high single target damage for 5 hits, utilizes the weapon's element. The critical hits generate more perfection, and at C rank, when you're the lower rank, you can get increased damage. So this is a very powerful move that is still great here. But as I mentioned earlier, my go-to is Phantom Stars. Perfect Break is also a really nice move. Endbringer is one of my favorite, especially when we're dealing with stunned opponents to deal increased damage. Of course, we're trying to break opponents, so Phantom Stars, Perfect Break, both can break opponents, and then Endbringer is going to come in and deal extra damage to the stunned target. Steel Strike is phenomenal for utilizing the cheater Picto, so you can get that move off without having to worry about being hit. Berserk Slash is nice just in case you're running low on health to deal extreme damage for only 4 AP. Strike Storm is here, not utilized as much, but if you don't have Chevalam, can really come in handy, and I utilized it a lot more when I didn't utilize Chevalam. But Chevalam's here, a great sword to have. So now that I've talked about the skills, let's talk about that sword that I keep bringing up and why it's so great. I've mentioned this weapon a few times already for this build, but now let's go more in depth with it, the Chevalam. This sword for Verso is absolutely phenomenal. You start the battle at rank S, meaning you're going to start insanely powerful with Verso at the beginning of the battle. However, there is a drawback. Verso cannot be healed or gain shields. However, starting the battle at rank S is absolutely phenomenal. Once you get to level 10 with the Chevalam, it's 20% increased damage for each consecutive turn without taking damage. This can stack up to 5 times, meaning you can get 100% increased damage if Verso has not taken any damage. That's phenomenal as well, especially if you're a little bit lucky and the opponents aren't attacking you, or if you are dodging and parrying where Verso's not getting hit. So that's great as well. Also, with the cheater Picto that I mentioned, you get 2 turns in a row. So that does count as a turn. You get 1 turn and then you're into your second turn. So you already get 20% increased damage on that second turn. And at level 20, you can apply Rush on rank S. That's phenomenal, increasing Verso's speed. So this is a phenomenal weapon, one of the best in the game for Verso. And I didn't mention it earlier, but you can see on the right-hand side of the screen where I've allocated my attribute points. I have 74 in might, 74 in agility, and 74 in defense. I am at level 74. I've just split it evenly amongst might, agility, defense. I prefer going into might, agility, and defense. Agility is going to allow Verso to attack quicker. Might is going to increase his damage. Defense is going to allow Verso to take a little bit more damage. I do like the split of these 3 in terms of attributes. But now that I've talked about the weapon that I'm utilizing and the attributes, let's talk about a couple of other weapons that you can utilize for this build if you haven't unlocked the Chevalam. The first is going to be the Dual Liso. I love the Dual Liso. It's a phenomenal weapon, especially if you don't have the cheater Picto. Dual Liso, you get to play again after base attack. So you get to attack once with your base attack. You also get 50% increased damage with your base attack, and base attack gives for perfection. Several reasons why I love this. 1, attacking twice in a row if you don't have the cheater Picto is absolutely phenomenal. 2, you get this just completing the storyline. You get this by defeating the duelist boss battle during the main quest line, so you don't have to worry about going out of your way to get this weapon. Phenomenal weapon to have. I utilized this all up until I got the Chevalam. So this is another weapon you can utilize with this build if you don't have the Chevalam. One of the last ones that I have utilized with it is the Corpeso. I like this weapon as well, especially because it can stack well with Mael. Mael loves when her targets burn. So base attack applies 2 burn per stack per rank. You get 1 AP on rank up, and you also increase burn damage by 50% per rank, up to 300% on rank S. So this one is great because it coincides with Mael. It also is great for burn teams, a team that you're going to put together that burns enemies. So Corpeso is another one that you can utilize pretty well with this build. I utilized it before. I switched back and forth between the Chevalam and this one until I settled on the Chevalam. But I do like burn builds. They're really fun. But now let's get into some more gameplay and talk about the Luminas and Pictos that I have equipped on this Verso build. Luminas and Pictos can make or break a build, so definitely don't overlook them. This is not just for Verso, but really any character. You need to make sure you're paying attention to your Pictos and Luminas and choosing the right one based off of how you want to set up a character. There are certain Luminas and Pictos that I'm going to go over that are really specific for Verso. There are others that are really good for every party member that you have, and I'll mention those. Let's talk about some of the ones that I have on all of my characters. The first is Cheater. I mentioned it earlier, but Cheater is a phenomenal Lumina in Picto. It is a very high cost. It does cost 40 Lumina points, but it's absolutely fantastic. Cheater, you always play twice in a row. This is phenomenal so you can build up damage on your opponent and do what you have to do for your team, whether it's Verso attacking twice in a row, whether it's one of your support characters supporting the team twice in a row. Cheater is just absolutely phenomenal. There have been a lot of boss battles where the boss doesn't even get an attack because my team is just utilizing Cheater and some of the other skills I have with party members, so the opponent can't even get an attack in. So Cheater is not just great for Verso, but also every other party member. Another couple that I have for every party member, one is Painted Power. This is only 5 Lumina points, but it's phenomenal. It removes the damage cap of 9,999, so you can deal a lot more damage. However, if for whatever reason you say, you know what, the game is too easy without the damage cap, then don't put Painted Power on. I've actually contemplated taking Painted Power off because I've been running through certain bosses in one hit. It's taken me 15 seconds, and to some degree, that's just not insanely fun. I would like a little bit more of a challenge. But if you are looking for an insane build, you really need Painted Power to remove the damage cap. It is only 5 Lumina cost. Next, another one that I love having is Second Chance. Second Chance, if you do go down, if Verso goes down, this is one that I have on every character. If your party member goes down, they revive with 100% health once per battle. So it's another great Lumina to have. It is a high cost, another 40 cost one, but it is insanely great to have just so you have a failsafe if you are getting hit a lot. Now let's talk about some of the ones that I really do love having on Verso. And some of these are pretty straightforward. I do have these on a lot of other characters. Energizing Attack. I have all of the ones that I can equip on Verso. There's Energizing Attack 1, 2. I have both of those equipped on Verso, and what it does is +1 AP on base attack. So if I do need to utilize my base attack, I get +1 AP, which is absolutely awesome. Another one that I have, Energizing Turn. It's +1 AP on turn start, so you get at least 1 additional AP every time your turn starts. Next, Energizing Starts. All of them that I can equip, I have, because it's +1 AP on battle start. This is going to allow Verso to get as much AP on battle start as possible, allowing him to utilize the moves that I really want to utilize at the beginning of battle to maximize the S rank that I'm starting with, thanks to Chevalam. So that's absolutely critical for this build. A couple that are also really important. 1, Full Strength. Full Strength is a Picto that is 25% increased damage on full health. That's phenomenal. You're starting the battle, you get 25% increased damage on full health. You're starting at S rank, so you get even more damage increase. You're going to be dealing a ton of damage with Full Strength. Another one is Inverted Affinity. You apply Inverted on self for 3 turns on battle start. It's 50% increased damage while inverted. For those of you who don't know, what Inverted does is it increases damage. However, any healing effects received are actually negatively impacted against health rather than positively impacted. However, thanks to Chevalam, Verso can't heal anyway, so you're not going to be trying to heal Verso, so you just get plus 50% increased damage for the first 3 turns. So that's absolutely awesome. To couple with that, you need Tainted. Tainted and Inverted Affinity are absolutely phenomenal together. What Tainted does is it's 15% increased damage for each status effect on self. This is both positive and negative status effects. So if you start the battle with Inverted Affinity, you're increasing your start damage by 50%. If you start with Full Strength, you're increasing it another 25% as long as you start the battle with full health. If you have Tainted, well, now because you have Inverted Affinity, which is a status condition, you're now increasing your damage by an additional 15%. That's absolutely phenomenal to start the battle with Verso. So those are 3 Pictos that I love having on Verso. They are phenomenal for damage dealers. Any damage dealer build that you want, Tainted, Inverted Affinity, and Full Strength are phenomenal to have on those characters. So they are great for a Verso build. So that's just something to know. I really do love having those on Verso. There are a couple others that I have on Verso that augment his base attack. 1, if you do need to utilize base attack, and 2, if you are utilizing Dual Liso, they're really nice to have. First, Augmented Attack, 50% increase base attack damage. Breaking Attack, base attack can break. Combo Attack, base attack has 1 extra hit. And Exposing Attack, base attack applies defenseless for 1 turn. All great if you are utilizing your base attack. With Chevalam, not as much, but if you're utilizing Dual Liso, you may be using it a lot more. Another one that I love utilizing, it can go hand in hand with Full Strength, Inverted Affinity, and Tainted, Augmented First Strike. 50% increased damage on the first hit once per battle. So you get increased damage on your first hit. Another great one to have. So those are the Luminas and Pictos that I have equipped on Verso. They are absolutely amazing, can really increase his damage output, especially to start the battle. The main ones that I love are, of course, anything that gives me AP, so Energizing Turn, Energizing Attack, Energizing Start are great ones to have, but the ones I really love to focus on are the Inverted Affinity, Tainted, and Full Strength, increasing that damage. Of course, the ones you need are the ones that need to be equipped on every character is the Cheater, the Painted Power, and Second Chance. Those are given, though. They need to be equipped on pretty much every character you have because they're phenomenal. Cheater allows your characters to go twice in a row. Painted Power, the damage cap is removed, and then Second Chance gives you that second wind just in case. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this Verso build. Is this one you're utilizing? Is this one you're going to utilize after watching this video? Let me know in the comments section. What are some changes you'd make to this Verso build to make it even better? I'd love to talk about it in the comments section. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and until next time, peace.